Hi, I'm Donna with the Bartram Trail branch of the St. Johns County Public Library System, and with me today is Dr. Barb Bookmender, and she is the book goddess that mends all of Bartram Trail's broken books. Hi Barb, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Donna.
I really want to share with our viewers today the tools that you use to repair the books that you repair, and maybe some hints and tricks on how not to create the damage to begin with. So, what tool do you use the most when you're repairing books?
I use a special glue that I keep in this bottle. It looks like Elmer's, but it's not.
That's Norbond.
Yes, it's Norbond acrylic glue, special. It dries clear, just like Elmer's, but it's stronger and it won't damage the books. That's really important, that you don't damage the books when you mend them.
That's true.
I've got tape. Here's a clear 3-inch tape that I can cut in different sizes. It's very strong and it's very thick.
What's it called, Barb?
I don't know.
It's called book tape.
It's from Demco, and it's just called premium book tape because it's for books.
Exactly.
I have several types of this, several sizes. This is backed with paper, which makes it a little easier to handle than the other.
And it has that cool grid on the back to allow you to figure out exactly what you need.
Right, yes. It makes it easy to cut and get the sizes that I need. Because I don't want to use more than I need and have the book just covered with tape, but I also want to use enough so that it doesn't pull away and then it doesn't do any good to mend it that way. We have this type of cloth tape. Hear that?
I see.
This is what we mostly used on the outside, on covers, because sometimes books split on the outside after use, bending and bending and bending, and then we can stick the outside back together with this. Accidents happen. It's okay. I have this special tape that comes in this kind of box that's set. It's scored so that I can fold it and fit it right into a crease as tightly as possible. This is called Filmoplast, and this is what we use to fix pages, because when you turn the pages of a book, and I'd like to show you the proper way to do it. There's a right way and a wrong way to turn pages in a book, and when you turn it the wrong way, or sometimes if you just turn it a lot of times, the edges will tear. This looks like paper, but it's a special paper with a special adhesive, so it is almost invisible when you use it on book pages. You don't use Scotch tape ever. Please don't do any repairs at home. Accidents happen. Just keep all the pieces and parts together, bring it back to us. Try not to put it in the book drop so that things don't fall apart. But if you hand it back to us and just say, I'm sorry, this is torn, this came out, this fell apart, I dropped it, it got a crease in it, just tell us what it is and we can probably make it better. But don't fix it at home, please, because fixing things at home, I know that you think you're helping, but you're probably not, because you don't have the proper materials and it might damage the book in the long run. And I have some things I can show you later when Donna asks for them, to show you some home repairs that are not going well.
This would be a great time, Barb, to pull out those home repairs and entertain me with some of the fun.
Well, I just have this one for now, but it's like it's got everything in it. Here is a nice little chapter book, very popular. This is Kung Pao Chicken. And the whole book fell out. Here, let me show you on another one. This is a hardbound, but look what happened. This whole section just came loose. You can see in the crease there, this is where it belongs. And somehow the glue didn't hold it, but this is an easy thing for me to fix with our special nor bond. I can put the glue in the crease, and then I can stick the section back in and line it up, and then I'll close it. And I like to use, we can use rubber bands. We want to hold it closed, or I can take what I like, these nice tight binder clips, and that'll hold it nice and tight until it dries. And when you take this off, voila, the book will be repaired. And I will do
Now,
that.
how long would that book sit and wait after you repair it for the glue to dry?
I like to give it 2 or 3 days, but by the time it gets back to the library and then gets back on the shelf, it's a week or so. So it's nice and tight and it will never come apart. This glue is stronger than the original glue. But
we're so grateful for you and the work that you do.
Well, I'm glad to do it. I really enjoy it. This book came apart just like that. This whole section of the book came out, but someone thought they were helping, and then there's lots of pieces that go across. This is a mess because wherever the Scotch tape is, when I go to take that off, which I need to take it off so that it doesn't turn yellow or crack, it's going to take the color, the printing, the ink is going to come off, and there'll be a nice big white space there. But I need to take this off, remove all of the tape, and then I can use the glue to put it back together. And the way I remove the adhesive from this tape so it doesn't stay on the book and damage it is using this magic stuff. It's called Undo, and it just looks like water, but it's not. It's very special. It's expensive, but it's worth it because it doesn't damage any books. It doesn't damage paper. It won't damage anything. It's like a miracle drug. The man who invented this is the same man that invented the game Twister. He was quite the man. So we've got a fun game that he did, and this you can use, is used in all kinds of applications to remove adhesive without damaging whatever the adhesive is stuck to. Pictures, but we use it for books. All kinds of adhesive. There's nothing else that works like this. You might have some things at home that you use to remove adhesive at home off of different items, but that would damage a book if you used it on the book. So that's why we tell you, if you have an accident, something happens, just bring it in and we will help put it back.
The one thing I love about Undo is it really has no scent.
No.
So it's unscented and it's very clean to use. It's a very nice product.
Yep, I love it. I don't
So
have
Miss
anything.
Barb, Dr. Barb, how many books a month do you usually see from our library?
Well, I used to keep track. Now with our special keeping in place because of the virus and things like that, everything's a little bit different now. But I kept track of books for quite a few years, and I was averaging about 1,500 to 1,800 books a year.
Wow, that's
So
a lot of hours of
divide that
work.
out. That's about an average of each year, 16, 17, up to 1,800 books a year. And some of them are just minor things, just little tiny things. But if we fix them when they're little, they don't become bigger.
That's true. And I know that you don't pay any attention to whether the book that you repair is a children's book or an adult book.
Oh,
but
no.
I know that the children's books get a lot more hard use just simply because they circulate more. And I've had books that were from the children's department that had 93 checkouts and 118 checkouts. And frankly, I'm amazed there's any book left after that many uses.
They're popular, and the one thing I like to do is the more I can repair a book, the longer the library keeps it, which means we don't have to replace it, and the money can be spent elsewhere. There are new books coming out all the time. So as long as we take care of the books we have, we can get the new stories, and you can have everything to read. If we had to discard every book that needed repair, we wouldn't be able to have hardly any collection at all, because things happen. They're very popular. like you say, especially the children's books, they get torn, things happen, they get dropped. This is a common thing that happens even not in the children's books, but the adult books. Can you kind of see how?
I can see it. I can see where it's split right there.
The cover actually came completely away from the book. This happens a lot. These books are heavy, and sometimes it slips and you grab it and the thing just pulls away. Now see, there it finished pulling away. This looks terrible, but this is a very easy fix with the special tapes that I have and the glue, and I can fix this and put it back so you'd never even know it happened. But don't try to help me do it, because I'm not saying you don't know how. Some people are very meticulous, they're very careful and detailed, but it's the materials that you don't have at home that I have access to. So just bring them in and we'll fix it. It's not a
When
problem.
you have a book like that and everything's being returned in the book drop now, you can always put a rubber band around the book,
right?
And put a Post-it note on the outside of the book that says that the book is damaged, and just drop it in the drop. That way the book won't flop open in the drop and be damaged more, because the books are staying in the bin for 3 days now before we check them in. And the bins that we use are large because we have a lot of returns here. So anytime that you think that something needs a little repair, if you can give us a heads up, then at check-in, we know to send it to Dr. Barb and let her work her magic.
You can also put it in a Ziploc bag. Put the whole book in. That way it won't come apart. It won't fall open. If you just stick a page that tore, sometimes, especially children's book, the whole page gets torn out. Accident, whatever, your little brother or sister got a hold of it and you didn't mean to leave it down where they could reach it. It doesn't matter what happened, it's an accident. These things happen. So just put everything, all the pieces together. The rubber band's a great idea, but if it looks a little awkward, put it in a bag so that it all stays together, and be very careful. And you probably won't be able to find the repair when you take the book out again. I wanted to show you another thing that's easy before it comes apart like that. Here's the book, and see how it split away here? This is a very easy fix with that special glue. But you want to have this done. If you notice it and we've missed it, and you borrow a book and it's already like this, let us know, because this is a really easy fix. Sometimes we don't notice everything when the librarians are checking books in. They don't always catch everything. They can't examine a book as closely as you will when you read it. So if you find something that's already there, let us know so we can fix it right away.
Because you're our partners in preserving our collection. And we appreciate help from our patrons, because it's true. It's just the same with DVDs or any other media. We don't have the time to play each one to make sure that it operates properly. So anytime you get a bit of material that has any kind of a problem, if you alert us, you're helping us, and we're really grateful for that.
That's right. I wanted to show you how to turn pages in a book.
Oh, I was hoping you would do this.
And one of the reasons I want to do this is because, believe it or not, when I went to my dentist last month, we were speaking about his children and how they read to them every night, and they were getting old enough to start learning how to read themselves. And I just mentioned something about turning pages, and he said, "What do you mean?" And he had never been coached on how to properly turn pages in a book. And so I told him again, I said, just tell them to do this and this. And he was very pleased that I told him how to do this, because it will probably keep his children from having accidents and tearing pages. Number one, wash your hands. And number two, dry them. We don't need wet hands on a book. But some children, they just like to, you know, wave their hands in the air. But no, wash and dry your hands. And when you pick up a book, you usually take your right hand, even if you're left-handed, take your right hand and just take the page on the top. and you can separate it because it pulls down, and then turn the page. Now this is what kids like to do, and many adults, they grab the page down here. Well, that works too, but it tears. You will find books, and you will notice now that you've seen this video, what you watch the books, and there'll be what we call just page tears, and they're little tears down here on the bottom, page after page after page. Those can get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're not that noticeable when we check books in, but you're going to see them when you find them, when you turn the page reading. If you turn like this, you'll almost never tear the page when you go like this, but if you do this, you almost always will have a page tear, especially with the number of reads that each of our books get. All the people handling them over and over and over flip. For some reason, when you do it like this, it doesn't tear as often. It almost never tears on the top. So if you turn the page properly, and if you have a heavy book, whether you're a child or an adult, you might not be able to hold it and read it. This is a big book, but it's not that heavy. It's the way it's manufactured, whatever it's used. Here's the heavy book, and they're very, very popular, and they're hard to handle because they're big. Harry Potter. The Harry Potters are heavy, and I wanted to show you this. It's starting to tear right here because it's heavy. You pull it up like that. It's already been repaired in the back. See, it already pulled away. There's another repair in the front where it's already pulled away. So if you have a really heavy book, you might want to read it on a table or hold it on your knees if you're sitting. Kids like to sit with their knees up, my grandchildren do. And you can rest the book that way. If you just try to hold it up in your hands, it's pretty unwieldy and it's really easy to drop. Then you grab the cover and it tears like that, which is okay. It's an accident. So don't worry, we're not going to be mad at you, but please tell us and then we'll fix it.
Well, Dr. Barb, you've given us a lot to think about today. Is there anything that we've missed before we end this few minutes together about repairing and what we want to do in order to preserve our books so that we can share them with more and more friends?
I think just being careful and maybe treating the books special. We have a lot of books at home, and a lot of children love the books at home. And maybe you're not as careful with your books at home, but please try to be maybe a little bit more careful with the library books so that other people can enjoy them. If you have them at home and an accident happens at home, you may ruin a book, but it's your book and you don't quite feel as bad maybe if you ruin a library book that other people can enjoy it. So take a little bit extra care. Teenagers need to keep their books up and away from the cats, the dogs, and their young siblings, their little brothers and sisters, because books come back that a dog has just loved to chew the corners off of, because let's face it, books are nice and hard and they're just the right size to get into a doggy's mouth. You don't want to let them do that because that's really a hard repair. If I have a corner missing off of a book, that's kind of hard to replace. So just keep them up out of harm's way and take care of them, and please don't get them wet. If you accidentally drop them, if they get wet for whatever reason, please don't put them in the book drop. Don't put them with other books because the water will go everywhere and it'll get absorbed by everything. So if you have a book that's wet, don't just drop it in the book drop. What you want to do is let it sit open it up and let it sit until you can bring it back to the library, and then give it to the librarian and say, I'm really sorry, it got wet, I dropped it in a puddle, something happened, don't let it sit like this, and don't put it in the book drop. It will make everything else in the book drop wet, and that would be even worse. So especially
water damage is really scary in books. And our St. John's Reads book this year is called The Library Book by Susan Orlean. And in that book, the library catches on fire, and the firemen come in and they put out the fire, and hundreds of thousands of books are wet and damaged, and they load them all up and take them to an industrial area where they're frozen, they're flash frozen. And if you want to know how they defrost the books and how they sort through the books, you're going to have to read the library book, because I can't tell you here. But do know that there may come a time that you damage a book enough that you need to replace it. Don't be afraid. Just talk to staff. We'll guide you through the most economic way to make that replacement. And know that we don't get mad, because there's nobody that's visited a library that hasn't either lost a book or damaged a book. We're all just human. So thank you so much for your time today, Dr. Barb. I think we've helped a lot of people, and I really appreciate you. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
So if you guys would care to like, share, and comment on this video, I would appreciate it very much. And if you have a photograph of a damaged book that you'd like to share on our page, we'd love to see it too. Thank you so much. Good day.